Hello everyone, this is Fi. We're checking out Bearcycle. This is a game I have played before. It was some weeks ago. We're gonna give it a playtest and see if we can give some useful feedback. This was something which I believe got a lot of feedback on the last demo that was shared, including from myself. So, for what I understand, the developer has made some changes to it. I don't know what to expect, but we're gonna find that out hopefully. But yeah, I've got the game page open here. It says this alpha preview of Bearcycle contains 2 zones and 1 boss fight. You are a bear that uses your newfound skill of driving a dirt bike to dominate the forest, the park rangers, and even the local town. Please leave feedback about this alpha and be brutally honest. Available for Windows, Linux, macOS, and Android standalone APK. This build contains significant changes since version 0.1.5. If you have played before, replay the tutorial and first level and follow install instructions to reset the controls to default. Alright, so this is something I was actually instructed to do by the developer, was this thing about resetting the controls to default. I guess it's something about maybe the data from the previous build or something isn't entirely compatible. I'm not sure, but we'll have to manually do that, I guess. Let's go ahead and drop the overlay and let's try this out. We got some absolutely bonkers looking art over here. And this menu, I believe, is all new. We've got shop settings, exit. Let's go ahead and click on settings. There's the controls, change language. I guess this is back. All right, reset to defaults. Hopefully that worked. Looks like we got move right, move left, rotate right, rotate left. Forage is Z. The use item is X. I don't remember what the controls were last time. I don't know if like WASD might work too. I don't know if the gamepad works. I don't think I used the gamepad before. I mean, it's kind of simple enough. I think there was an attack button before, which maybe was removed. Change language, we got English. Oh, interesting. Oops. Alright, so shop. Shop apparently doesn't do anything currently. It does kind of... I mean, that doesn't matter, I guess it does just like leave the highlight there when you click on it, but let's go ahead and click on play. So this is an existing file. I guess this is a save file from the previous build. It mentions the number of kilocalories here from food you've eaten. I guess that's sort of a total score sort of deal. I don't know, and then the time is 0. I don't know, but I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and click on delete. Cannot be undone. Okay, I appreciate the confirmation dialogues. And let's try to create a new thing here. Oh, we've got interesting different control schemes. You can always change controls in settings. Okay, I don't remember. I guess the settings we were looking at before were rewindable. But I don't remember a setting like this. Okay, so platformer controls is left and right to move, left and right to rotate when you're airborne. Bike controls up and down to move and left and right to rotate. Interesting. But can you do different things with this? How... Somewhat like the thing that occurred to me is like maybe you could do like a wheelie or something if you use these kinds of controls, but I'm not sure that. I would kind of expect that, you know, if you just change control schemes, it's not going to like unlock new gameplay. You know, generally you want that to be kind of homogeneous, regardless of what the control scheme you use is. So, so we're going to go ahead with the tutorial here. Alright, we got the Sonic style opening screen. So okay, it's WASD apparently doesn't work, which is a little disappointing. I think it'd be easy enough to map the controls to both, you know, the arrow keys WASD simultaneously. That's okay. Got left and right to move now. Oh, the other buttons apparently just aren't active yet, so the game expects me to wait to be instructed before I do things like this. Okay, so we got a little bit of a... I remember giving some feedback, I think other people did too, about like how when you go off a jump like this. I don't remember exactly how it worked before, but I think it was like I think it kind of like, if you held the direction, like if I just hold left like this and I just never stopped holding it, that it wouldn't start rotating eventually. It would just kind of stay locked. And now it has like a little bit of a buffer time before it starts already rotating there. I do wonder about like how long that needs to be, the little buffer time there, and like maybe it could be a little shorter, or maybe it's good the way it is, I don't know. But I think that was something that the developer probably changed. So eat food to gain HP, do this to rotate in the air. Oh, that was weird. Wonder why you start spinning quicker all of a sudden. And I fall and get hurt. So I think maybe once you've been spinning for a certain amount of time, it starts spinning faster. I'm not really sure. But yeah, so sometimes the little buffer thing after you go off a jump is a little weird, because sometimes you might want it to start spinning a little faster. I guess maybe you could kind of train yourself to take your hand off the input and press it again real fast once you get airborne. I think that would work. Oops. Just completely tried to hit the button again and just slipped my finger completely off the key there. Z to inspect. Okay, interesting. So I believe... I don't remember if these springs were like manually triggered before. I know that the other things, like the booster pad things were, but these things. I didn't get that much air. I mean, there's more stuff up there. It's interesting. I mean, is there a way to get that extra food? Okay, if I just hold the Z button down, it doesn't trigger all these. I wonder if you might want to do that instead of making it sort of a timing thing. I mean, it's not like it's hard exactly, but maybe just as sort of a quality of life detail, it might just be a little easier for the player if they just want to like press the button and just hold it down, and when they hit one of these things, it would just automatically trigger them. Oh, you can't get that, okay. I wonder why I didn't the first time. So we increase the combo meter for whatever reason we do that. It's got like a little lightning bolt, looks like, on the top left there. It's hard to see unless I like directly look up there, but eating enemies increases combo meter and HP. So we just run into them, I guess, now, instead of like pressing a button to attack them. Oh, okay, so we actually pick up speed. Very interesting, okay. So... yeah, I don't think that's been explained here in the tutorial so far, but I'm assuming it's something to do with the combo meter that was just mentioned. It's interesting because I was noticing... oh, it goes back to telling me this. Interesting. I was noticing I felt like maybe it felt a little slow to play, and I don't know if that was changed from before, like your base speed or something, but you definitely picked up a lot of speed once that kind of started kicking in there. Now this ability thing... oh, okay, there's a different button. Oh, wait. How many times can I use it? As much as I want? I think before it was a one-time use thing, wasn't it? Now, it can be a little weird when you're treating this kind of like a traditional platformer, because in most platformers, while you're doing platforming stuff, you kind of press the left and right while you're airborne. Just as part of what you're doing, and you generally have like a little bit of air control and everything like that. Whereas in this game, or you might just, like, if you want to go to the left, you might hold left and then press jump, and then you just kind of like, you keep holding the left input. Whereas in this game, it starts doing different things. You start getting this rotation that you don't necessarily want. So I think, I mean, my first thought about that is that you probably want to be a little careful about like how much sort of pure platforming type stuff you put in here, because I feel like the controls with the rotation in midair don't necessarily lend themselves to traditional platforming as much. Generally it's more about like you know, going fast and kind of matching the wheels to the terrain, that kind of thing. Like I think, you know, games like Excite Bike were a lot about kind of getting that perfect angle when you land, because that helps maintain your speed and you go like a lot faster and that kind of thing. I don't know if there's much of a speed difference in how you land in this game, but you know, just the fact that this is kind of a fundamental aspect of the controls kind of pushes the game more in a direction that's less pure platforming, I think. It's not to say you can't have like platforming elements that still work in the game, but yeah, it is a little awkward when you have something like a jump like this that you can suddenly use, and then it like starts trying to act like a platform, and it's like maybe I don't want it to, you know, because the controls aren't really made for a platformer like that. No, I'm not really sure. I guess we're just supposed to use the spring here. I feel like I need to get enough speed. That's fine. It wasn't a hard jump. And then I guess I could maybe jump up there if I had enough of a build up here. Press it at the right time. I don't think I really need to get all this food. It doesn't seem important, but I guess since it's there, we can try to get it. You have to remember that there's 2 buttons here. It's not my first choice for the keys to use, I guess, but well, actually, no, that's more just. I haven't played a game with this control scheme in a while. I know this is pretty standard for like keyboard input, but maybe I should try to grab the gamepad just to see if anything has been implemented on this end. The game seems simple enough, it's not really necessary, but you can feel better to have gamepad controls for something like this. Alright, so D-pad appears to work. A button appeared to work. Let's get the mouse cursor off the screen. We've got a timer going down now. Now that I'm in the game, Oh, okay. So the D-pad isn't working, but now the R and L triggers are working for moving left and right, which is really interesting. Oh, wow. Oh, there's a rumble. Oh my gosh, I haven't played a game with rumble in it for a little while, so it's kind of unexpected. I probably forgot that was even in the controller, to be honest with you. Yeah, so I think the 2 button inputs only work in context, so I can't just use them at any point to see that they're working, which is kind of weird because I actually don't know which, like if they are mapped to the controller, I don't know what they're mapped to, so. Oh, here's a. Alright, looks like the B button on the Xbox controller is doing this. It's definitely odd to use the R and L triggers, but. Oh! Okay, so maybe this is. Wait, okay, what's the rotation then? Is it on the D-pad? Oh, it's on the D-pad, so the thumbstick unfortunately isn't working. Interesting. Oh, okay, so, So, with these controls, we do have it so there's separate throttle and rotation controls, which I think is what the... Now that I think about it, what the other control scheme was sort of about that it was mentioning, that was supposed to be more like a bike or something. So it gives you the option to separate things, but what I noticed is that when you go off a little jump, it still has the little buffer time before it starts registering the rotational input, which doesn't seem like it's necessary for this control scheme. So that would be like specifically what I would choose this control scheme for, I think, is to be able to do that, you know, where I can hold the throttle that brings me to the left, and I can also press it and hold it a directional rotation button, and then as soon as I go off the thing, it should just start rotating, I think, because with this control scheme I can do that, so I think that should be the way that works, and for whatever reason it doesn't currently. Actually, it could even be sort of a bug associated with the fact that I didn't set the actual setting to that. Where are the settings all the way back in the home menu? I thought it might be in a pause menu, but I guess we'll try this. Oh, okay, so yeah, again, so I think when you create the new game and it asks you to create, asks you to decide between a control scheme, I'm guessing the only thing that changes is the key bindings. It doesn't actually change anything else. Just based on the fact that there's no other option here for that kind of thing, so maybe that's it. So maybe what I said isn't really the case. It just isn't really designed in the way I expected or something for it to really support that control scheme. Now I think when I loaded this up, I was like between levels or something for a moment there. A little mini map, I don't know. But yeah, it feels interesting on the gamepad. Feels like it could be fun to play it like this for sure. It just takes a little getting used to, like, for my brain to register, like, moving left and right with the R and L triggers is kind of strange. But yeah, I definitely like the idea of being able to separate the throttle and the rotation controls. So that would definitely open up some potentially nicer control opportunities there. Although it doesn't really work that way very much right now. I'm thinking I might want to go back to the keyboard controls for now, simply because I don't know. I'm not really getting the benefits that I want from doing this. Maybe I should, but I don't know. For now, I've got the gamepad still. I think we probably doesn't make that much difference. I think I can play either way. Oh, so I got a little bit of a boost, I guess, from... I'm not sure how this works, but it seemed like... Oh! Wow! Okay, I was not expecting there to be collision there like that. That's very interesting. Huh. Yep. I'm not sure how much of that I like, I guess. That seemed like maybe... My first inclination is that should be a little more forgiving. Like, yeah, I mean... I'm not sure if it's really necessary to make the bear... Yeah, especially like this kind of thing. I feel like this should just kind of... This should just bump against the ceiling or something like that, you know? Like, that can already be kind of... Does that actually cause damage that hurts my health? I think it does, right? Because... Yeah. I mean, I don't know. For this kind of game, I think it goes back to how much it's trying to be a platformer, which is, I'm not saying it's trying to be a platformer too much. I did say before I think you should be careful, but that's not necessarily what I'm trying to say, is that you're definitely doing it too much or anything like that. I'm not sure about that, but I do think when you design the level like a platformer, I don't think it necessarily fits as well when you have these elements where, like, if you brush against the ceiling, then it's going to knock you off and you're going to lose a chunk of health and you have to wait to get back on the bike and that kind of thing. Like, that sort of punishment feels like it's more about something like a, you know, the more the speed-based racing sort of thing, where you're just trying to race through the levels and use precise bike input, you know, like you know, some of the games that this is inspired by. So I think you have to be a little careful about this kind of stuff, because, yeah, you are definitely sort of combining different styles here that don't, in all cases, you know, that the individual elements of the different styles you're combining don't always combine well, you know. So you have to be a little careful about that. Like, this kind of thing, that just feels frustrating to me, I think. Given that this is sort of a platform. Also, just I guess the way that this level is made, like, I don't know, maybe you're meant to come from left to right here, but it feels like this is kind of almost made to just throw you into the ceiling and hurt you. It's sort of strange. Nevertheless, I lost all the health there, so I did notice before, it seemed like once I started picking up the health, I mean, not the health, but the speed, I got like a little bit of a speed boost. I think it's from landing. I don't know what that is. Maybe it's a extra life or something. I'm not sure if I even have lives, but I think it It looked like I got a little bit of a visual feedback, as if it was like I landed with my wheels squarely and I got a little speed boost. Again, this is stuff that hasn't really been explained to me. Maybe the tutorial is just out of date. You know, that's entirely likely, because this is obviously a work in progress game, and to you know, update the tutorial every single time you make a change to the game is probably unreasonable. So yeah, I think that might have been what happened, which is interesting, because it apparently only happens once you start getting the speed boost built up with the combo meter or whatever. Yeah, I'm wondering, like, I know I'm wasting tons of time here and just not really playing, but I guess the developer is trying to go for more of a like a linear and speed-based level design than before, which might have been a little bit more platformy. But yeah, in particular, the camera should probably pan down a little bit if I'm falling here. I'm not sure. So it's a little ambiguous, like what exactly to do with the camera. Do you shift it up? Do you shift it down? You know, it's hard to make it perfect in all scenarios, but it is a little weird to be falling like that and not being able to see the ground, especially in a game that's kind of a little bit designed around this idea of like lining up your wheels to what you're going to land on. Maybe you want to emphasize the what's below you a little bit more. But yeah, so I'm really curious about this idea, like the speed boost building up stuff, because again, that seems much more like a, oh, this is interesting. So, okay, so this in particular was just a straight blind jump. So again, you want to be really careful with this and how you're handling the camera, as well as the level design itself. I don't know what the heck. What is this? I have no idea what's going on right now. It does also seem a little bit sluggish to change directions. In my opinion, the camera. Like when you start driving in the other direction, I feel like you should probably flip around the other direction a little bit quicker here. What the heck? This level design is a little bit confusing in this part. It's like there's so much that's off the screen. It's kind of like it's a little too far away that I can't really wrap my head around what the design is trying to do. Interesting. Oh wow, I lost all of my speed when I landed. That's also interesting. Okay, so so if I do something like this is almost like a quarter pipe, like in a skateboarding game or something, right? I kind of expect, like, if I press to the right throttle, I kind of expect almost that I'll land and like keep my inertia here. Like, maybe it's not realistic because of the fact that, you know, this is a bike and he's not facing the right direction. Like, he's turned the other way. I guess in theory, well, no, I can't actually make him rotate. I can't rotate on that plane to make his front align with the direction he's going, but I think it would make sense in like an intuitive sense that if nothing else, if I'm pressing in the opposite direction, if I'm pressing in the right direction here when I land, it seems like it would just feel better if I maintain my momentum and, you know, going on the ground and then just stop instantly. Yeah, so we've got some of these mechanics that speed you up. Again, I can't really see the ground very well here. So yeah, the intention seems to be to go through the level fast. And I'm not really sure what to think about that. I think once you start going down that route, it kind of invalidates more of the platformy stuff, so it's sort of tricky. I guess it's really messy to figure this out, like which direction should you go, and that kind of thing. But it feels to me like the whole speed boost thing with the combo and stuff is stuff that works well in like a really linear left to right sort of race to the finish sort of game, and I'm not sure. I mean, this obviously feels more like that than it did before, but it still feels like there's still like significant amount of stuff that isn't, like even this part right here. That just doesn't work at all with the idea of like a speed like a pure speed-based thing where you just, I don't know, maybe you just go for the shortest time. So I'm not sure. Maybe it's just the sort of effect where the more you go towards trying to make it more of a speedy, racy thing, the more that the actual platformy bits just don't make sense anymore. Where you actually like stopping to turn around to go get some little bonus treat that's hidden somewhere and that kind of thing. I'm not really sure what to do about that. I mean, I know like the Sonic games themselves are a little bit like that, but I'm not sure what to say about that, to be honest. Sonic games, the classic ones, are a little bit weird, honestly, in their design. Not that I didn't enjoy them as a kid, because I most certainly did. Yeah, I don't know. This is a little different. I mean, Sonic... Sure, Sonic games are kind of a little bit contradictory feeling in that they're kind of about speed, but then they're about not speedy platforming sometimes. They kind of bounce back and forth. But they also don't have this kind of stuff like the controlling your rotation in the air, landing your wheels cleanly on the ground, building up like a meter to a combo meter that you have to maintain to keep your speed up and that kind of thing. Like stuff like that isn't in Sonic, so that's I think also another difference. So this is weird. So apparently you can go through that platform, but if you don't make it through the platform, you just kind of die. It's sort of funny. I don't know what I'm doing at this point. I think I'm just I think this might want me to go do something like this. Yeah, for some reason it gives me a little bit of a higher boost, and that's, oh, okay, so that one triggered automatically. So this is interesting. When you start stringing stuff together like this, it definitely feels more like a, you know, one of these racing-esque things than a platformer. And yeah, stuff like the springs, I mean, you can obviously say the springs are very Sonic inspired. They're not okay. The springs and stuff obviously are very Sonic inspired. They're you could say they're something from a platformer game, but in this context, it's something that works well in this sort of game, or even just like a racing-esque game, or whatever you want to call it. So I feel like there's elements to platformers that do work well, and some that don't. I think you really need to nail down which direction you want to go. So the last sequence there, where you're kind of going really fast for a while, you had the combo up, and you were doing, you know, quickly moving between different platforms. I don't necessarily want to call them platforms, just like ground structures that were interesting and loopy and stuff. That actually felt really good for that like few seconds that lasted. That was like the best part of the game so far, I guess. So I think honestly, if you want to go down that route, if you just want to go full bore and make the whole levels around this sort of high speed thing, that might work better. I think, I mean, going back to Sonic the Hedgehog, they did have a lot of sections like this, right? So they had, you know, they had parts where you had to kind of go slow and you had to do like little precise jumps and interact with different little mechanisms and stuff. It's whatever, but then they'd always have these like a significant chunk of these sections where you just zoom through it, right? And you go through all the loop-de-loops and you're zooming around, and it's kind of fun being just fast. So I'm not sure if that's kind of what you're going for here, but I feel like even if you try to do a little bit of each, if you had a lot more of the levels being those really kind of fast moving sections like what we just experienced, if there was just a lot more of that, even if there were parts that weren't like that, I think the whole game would feel a lot more interesting. I'm not sure, you know, maybe there's more after this that's like that, but just what I played so far, it felt like, you know, obviously I could have gone through it faster than I did because I kept stopping and talking, So you could say it's just, it's just the first level. It's not supposed to be technical. You're just supposed to go from left to right. I'm not sure if that's the case, but it did feel a little bit kind of sparse and boring, to be honest. And yeah, and some of these little areas where it's like, oh, you can stop and you can hit the spring going back to the left to get the little hamburger that you don't actually need for any purpose, because it doesn't really, I mean, it sort of gives you a score in your calories, I guess, but it definitely felt like it wasn't really showing off the game as I think you intended with this sort of speedy stuff. And yeah, so interesting sort of conundrum where you're trying to balance these two aspects of it, but I think that yeah, that last part definitely felt really good. So I think if you really lean into that kind of level design, that would be good. And you have to be a little careful about stuff that involves just like stopping and going backwards again. I don't know how to explain that. I guess it's about pacing, because obviously while you're keeping your speed up, it sort of lends itself to a linear progression where you're just going forward, right? Whereas if you have these bits where it's like, oh, you can go back to get some little bonus thing, sometimes it's sort of like you don't want to put the super special secret bonus item in a place that forces the player to play the game in a way that's less fun, I think is kind of what it comes down to. So if you have this part where it's like, oh, just ignore the fact that you have the full combo boost and you're going super high speed, and just hit the brakes and stop and go back in this other place to get the item. I'm not sure that is necessarily a good idea to do that kind of thing. I'm not saying that you've done that, but I'm just saying as a sort of a broad concept, I guess, design concept I'm trying to get across. You have to be careful about this kind of stuff that breaks the pacing. And I mean, if you know that the special item is there, maybe it's a little better. Like if you see it on the screen when you're zipping by it, maybe the next time you play that level, you'll be like, oh, maybe I should stop and investigate. That might be okay. But if it's something like you have to stop in order to go like figure out if something is up there, and after a lot of effort you can find like a little item, I'm not sure if that's so good, because the game, it's sort of asking the player to play the game in a less fun way in order to discover the little doodads or whatever. So in a broader sense, I guess maybe you could also attribute that concept to things like branching paths. Like Sonic games have a lot of different ways you can go, but I guess to some degree they kind of maintain a flow between them. They're not necessarily weird in making you do weird things to find the other path. I'm not sure, but I'm not sure how much this little rant made sense. But even if you ignore everything I just said, because it was hard to I don't know if it came across well or not, but yeah, I think the much more important part is that moment. Whoops, that moment just a few minutes ago there. Where I was going fast for a while, that felt a lot better, I think, than the other parts of the game. So if you do a lot more of that, this is going to be a fun game. I'm quite sure of that. Destroying the natural order of the park. Bears don't drive dirt bikes. Roar. A fed bear is a dead bear. Well, I'm going to run into you. Okay, he's got spray stuff. So this is something that hasn't really been explained up until now, but I guess you kind of figured out by running into the guy. Can I just run over him now? Okay. So, I did notice, I guess there's not really an opening. I assume there's still collision on the spray things. Okay, I don't know. I don't know when the collision stops. I guess it's a little more forgiving than I thought it was. Yeah, I did notice that there's some of these springs that just trigger automatically, and I guess there's a slightly different color because it's more yellow or whatever. It was kind of unexpected. I guess it's something you might figure out over time, that if you see orange then you have to do it manually, but It seemed a little weird to me at first. So that guy's just here. I'm not moving very fast at this point, but... Wow, okay. And yeah, like I can't change direction when I'm in the air, so it does present some weird things when you go through these like elaborate airborne scenarios, and then you land on the ground like kind of facing the wrong way because you can't really maintain your speed. Oh, I wonder why that's bumping. All right, apparently the collision for this is like not actually where the visual is. It's kind of weird. Interesting. Okay, I was kind of half expecting to just bump into this, I guess. Maybe the idea is the grass. I don't know if I'd collide with the bottom of this if I was going upwards. I'm not really sure how that works. Seems a little ambiguous. So I kind of want to... I guess I just don't have enough combo or something to do this loop-de-loop the way it seems to be intended. It's gonna land me up here, and then I can't actually get over that because I don't have like a jump move. Oh, I can do that, I guess. All right, I think I'm gonna follow the arrows. Oh, I didn't hit that. Oh, so this is kind enough to bounce me back there. That's nice. So I lost the full boost meter. It kind of instantly drained there. I'm not sure how that works, but it does seem like the only way to increase the combo meter or whatever is from killing guys. I think once it starts building up, then you seem to get the bonuses from like landing the tires cleanly. I think that's how that works. But before then, I don't think there's anything you can do. So you're kind of perpetually stuck in a state of not being particularly fast until enemies show up. And I wonder if you might want to change that somehow, because it seems like it's such a rare case that you actually get the speed build up that you like. At least with the current way the levels are designed, there's not like tons of enemies everywhere. Oh, okay. I think you mentioned the bear being on an ATV. I think the last build, I think the last version it was actually an ATV, even though it was called Bearcycle. Not a dirt bike. So I think maybe I didn't actually read that properly what the guy said in the text box, but I think maybe that was just something that was supposed to be changed and wasn't. Alright, so whoa, what is this? Okay, thanks for playing what I have so far. This level is unfinished with an improved experimental rocket booster. Okay, so this is a level we played before. I remember the rocket booster being pretty fun, but this also was like a full level before, but I think the developer tends to change the levels quite drastically. A, to use the item. And yeah, we haven't been using the items really in the actual levels so far. So. Wow, okay, so that kind of jerked you upwards. Like, when I'm on the ground and I use it, it seems to kind of throw you up in the air. Oh, interesting, automatically. So that's kind of cool. Alright, has pretty limited boost, but it has a good kick to it. I think I remember it having a lot more... I think before it had a lot more fuel. Like it didn't boost as hard, but it had a lot more fuel, so it would last longer. Oh, I expected that to push me up more. Interesting. Yeah, it feels kind of weak when I get to the top of the hill there, and it just kind of doesn't. And obviously, if I just hold it down all the way, it's gonna bring me up there, but. I wonder if you want just like a little bit more of a kick. When you're on the ground and you use it, you get a pretty significant little boost, but I'm not sure if it's the same in the air. Yeah, it seems different in the air for whatever reason. I think maybe when maybe when you use it in the air, you might want a little bit more of an impulse when you first start using it. I mean, you might not want the player to be able to like spam the button like super rapidly and get like tons of impulse speed in the air. Maybe you can, I mean, you can limit that by like making it so that there's a little like, you know, 200 milliseconds or something between when you can hit it again, like how rapidly you can do it. You can add little limiting factors like that, but I definitely get the feeling that once I go off the jump and hit the rocket, it's not giving me as much of an oomph as I feel like it should. This feels really slow until I like hold it down for a while and it eventually builds up the speed in the air. Oh, okay, wasn't expecting that. Also, the way that this automatically throws you upwards, even when you're on the ground, it means that you can't use it like a booster on the ground, which is, I guess, mildly disappointing, because it'd be really fun to be able to use this as just a straight-up speed booster, I think. So, I mean, you could like add wheeling or something. I know it's not really compatible with the first control scheme because you have left and right and rotation on the same inputs, but it might be worth it to just kind of force the other control scheme or something, or just a different one where you have the ability to, like, for example, if I'm on the ground, I can press the counterclockwise rotation to do like a wheelie, and that would obviously combine well with the booster here, because if I wanted to, I could just use it as a straight up horizontal boost, or I could like wheelie backwards and I could get the airborne effect that I'm getting like this. It does feel kind of fun to just use it, like pretend I'm just doing wheelies with it for some reason. In any case, yeah, so I think there was a little more game before because I think the developer just decided to redo all the levels or whatever. Or there's only like 2 or something, but I think there was definitely more elements. There was more like fiddling around with items and little switches and stuff. So I do think that, wow, okay, a little bit funny interaction there. Again, this is not like a normal speed, not like a normal speed boost, so you can kind of expect it's not really gonna interact well with this loop, I guess. It looks funny though. All right. So yeah, I think I think you noticed. I mean, I've just been kind of rambling a little bit too much here, but there was that one moment there in the levels where it seemed like everything really clicked for a moment because I was just going really fast. I was kind of moving between these different interesting ground bits. I was like killing random enemies, and the speed boost is staying high. You know, dealing with the rotation to land the tires properly. For that few brief seconds, the game felt really good. So definitely do more of that, if not just make the entire game that, and that would be really fun. And like I said before, I think the fact that you can only get your speed up if there's enemies involved is a little bit limiting, unless you happen to just like fill the game with tons of enemies or something to that effect, because that would give you a lot more opportunities at least to enjoy that effect. But as it is, it feels like it's just way too rare that you actually get to speed up like that. So I wonder if there's just some other way that you can get that meter up there. If you simply make it so that, like, for example, if you go off a little jump, even if you have no meter and you land with your tires clean, I can understand you don't want to give the player the bonus for that, because they could just do that randomly anywhere, I guess, and just like build up the boost meter. It would be very interesting. I'm not really sure how to go about that. But something to make that a little bit more of a commonplace element of the game, I think would help a lot. Apart from that, yeah, definitely keep going with it. I know it's awkward, some of the original things you're trying to do and kind of trying to merge that in here, but I think there was definitely that moment where everything clicked. So definitely shows that the concept is there's something here that can really work. So hopefully that was useful for you. I know I probably rambled a little bit too much in this one, but let me know if you have any questions. I'm just interested to see how where it goes from here. And yeah, if you just made like a whole game full of sections like that one section I said I liked, then this would be a blast to play. So I'm really interested to see where it goes from here. So I will definitely see you in the next video.